Hello, Dr. Vicki Peterson here. I just received a really great question from my YouTube family, and that was somebody who was asking why, this is regarding hiatal hernia. So if you don't know anything about hiatal hernia, I'll backtrack at the end and give you a little bit of data. But it had to do where the person had an X-ray that showed what's called a sliding hiatal hernia, so it kind of moves up and down. And then he said he also had an endoscopy, which is another procedure to check on the stomach and the esophagus, etc. And he said it didn't show that, and how could that be? So we have several definitions of hiatal hernia, and what we're mostly never talking about is the kind where so much of the stomach is stuck up above the diaphragm, and that's more of a surgical intervention, and that's not what we're talking about, because that can be diagnosed very easily. The surgery, unfortunately, is not highly successful, but it is a surgical intervention. So a more subacute nature of that is what's called sliding, where the stomach's in spasm and it's pushing up a little bit above the diaphragm and coming back down. So that's why you could do even 2 endoscopies or 2 X-rays and have one show it and one not, just because of the fact that it's still in motion, which from getting rid of it and actually getting resolution of the problem is that's more the one you want, because then we can do the more natural procedures that we do and really get that back under control, where the stomach is below the diaphragm as it should be. So the very nature of the fact that it's sliding means it's in motion, and so you might catch it, you might not, and therein lies a lot of the problem, which is that I have a free ebook on our site. If you haven't seen it, it's rootcausemedicalclinics.com. So the free ebook goes at the 15 different symptoms that we have accumulated in our database, as far as a variety of things that can be associated with this problem. And if you go the traditional medical route, they don't really give any credence to a sliding hiatal hernia having any problems. They'll only get excited about it if the stomach is stuck up there, because, as I said, then you're not digesting, and it's usually a surgical intervention. So getting back to what it is we do, you want to get to the root cause of why that stomach's in spasm. So it's spasming and then it's pushing up, and that creates the problem, because your mouth is connected to your stomach via the tube called your esophagus, and there's a nice little valve there that very intelligently opens when there's food passing through, and then closes up when the food has passed through. So it's now contained in that stomach, and the stomach is a bag of acid, and it churns it around and then it leaves the stomach. So there's only one way it's supposed to go. If you've ever vomited, you know what it feels like when it's going the other way. But if you have acid reflux, or you have heartburn, that's that feeling of that acid either dramatically moving up so you taste it, or that more subtly moving up where you feel that burning, but you're not necessarily tasting it like you've just thrown up. So over and above that, you have other symptoms like shortness of breath and heart palpitations, anxiety attacks that seem to have nothing to do with your stomach, but the root cause of it is this stomach in spasm. So, as I said, definitely look at the free ebook on our site that goes into much more detail, but there are people suffering with heart palpitations, shortness of breath, pressure in the chest, and maybe digestive symptoms like bloating, gas, acid reflux, heartburn, constipation. But this is where the misdiagnosis comes in a lot. Sometimes there's really negligible digestive symptoms, and it all seems very mental, emotional, and they're told, because they're having these anxiety attacks or panic attacks, that they just need a psychiatric drug, which nothing could be farther from the truth. And if you've ever heard me talk, I'm very much opposed to those very dangerous side effects. So we always are about getting to the root cause. And because our diets are not that great, traditionally speaking, as far as the average American, there is a fair amount of constipation, there's a fair amount of bad food coming in, people who rush through their food, or maybe have a big meal at night and lie down. There's a lot of predisposing factors that can kind of set you up for these hiatal hernias. But in addition to the sliding, there's also the subclinical, and that means you have all these symptoms, and when we check you, we can tell that stomach's in spasm and it's pushing up on that diaphragm, but you're not going to see it on endoscopy, you're not going to see it on X-ray. So I hope that fleshed out a little bit more data on hiatal hernia. But if you know anybody with any of those symptoms, please tell them to give me a call, because we have a great program that's natural, no drugs, and really resolves it. And it can be very much a condition where someone's life is a bit ruined by it and is so unnecessary. So if you know anybody, have them give me a call, 408-733-0400. And I look forward to hearing from them or you. I'll see you soon.